Nigga, get out of here. My niggas jump up on the line of scrimmage. Ooh, about anything. Yeah. Shit about real life right here, man. All that shit y'all nigga talking irrelevant, you did. Yeah. We can't see it in real life, nigga. We ain't taking that shit. Yeah. Try again, let's get it. Come on. Dropped off and then finish. Drip that real game, no scrimmage. Okay. I'ma need that sweat back with interest. Give me that back. Real life, no scrimmage. Real life, no scrimmage. Boss nigga from apprentice. Boss nigga. Pussy nigga, get some business. Pussy nigga, get some business. Real life, no scrimmage. Oh my God. Real life, no scrimmage. Real life, no scrimmage. Feeling like I'm running the building. Feeling like I'm running the building. Real life, no scrimmage. Real life, nigga. Real life, no scrimmage. That's how I feel. You fucking with me for nigga, go rest. Nigga, go rest. Real life, no scrimmage. Real life, nigga. Get out of here. My niggas jump up on the line of scrimmage. Ooh, about anything.
Yeah. Can't be out here playing victim. Can't be out here looking simple. Deleting pictures out the social. Hard on polar. Slept on me when I was broke. You know that I know this. I can't let you hoe niggas knock me off of my focus. I gotta go get it. Push my 97 like a 90s dope dealer. In my section acting like I don't know niggas. Sauce like Alfredo. Try to swell off you like Fredo. My niggas go off on this.
Welcome back to the show. Man Talk Monday. The weekend recap. Yeah. The number to the show is 404-382-0338. You can also email me at doug@thedougstewartshow.com. Gonna get to this basketball here in a second, but I said I wanted to read some messages from the chat on Spreaker.com, find out what Cats did this weekend. From Brian Hill in the chat. He says, weekend, I watched my son's flag football team, Shiloh, get shredded by Tucker flag football team. They got an 8-year-old running a 4.340. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, sir. From J Fish Microwave, he's talking about the weekend. He says, I bought a $200 grill and worked Friday night through this morning and visited the Garden of Whedon in between all of that. The Garden of Whedon. Oh, I get it. Speaking of the Garden of Whedon, not that I indulge. What's the date? The 24th? 4/20? Did y'all know there was a National Weed Smoking Day? And we may have talked about this on the show last week. So April 20th is, I think, National Marijuana Day, or the day that weed smokers recognize the day to smoke a lot of weed. And so from what I understand, from what I hear, from what I understand, man, this past weekend was the weekend to get it in. From what I heard. Yeah. From Corporate Brother in the chat room, we're talking about the weekend. And remember, I said earlier, if you did something interesting this weekend, post in the chat and put the word weekend and then, what you did. And from Corporate Brother, he says, rolled out my wife's side for a good 7 minutes. He says he rolled out his wife's side for a good 7 minutes. 7 minutes, 7 minutes. That's about par. As a matter of fact, that's a good night. 7 more of the kids knew we left the room. Quick work, but got the job done. Yes, sir. Laugh out loud. Well, good for you, sir. Good for you. Derek says he went to Atlanta and consumed large amounts of Yingling and Jack Daniels. I like Yingling. Yingling's pretty good beer. So good stuff, man. Keep them coming. The number to the show is 404-382-0338. My man Sin says he watched Fate of the Furious and some NBA playoffs. So last week, from what I understand, this new Fast and Furious movie is doing fantastic as usual at the box office. So I asked the Sueys last week to, give me your thoughts on it. Should I go and try to catch up and watch all of these previous 8 films? I think this is the 8th one. Should I go back and look at the previous 7? And I missed your response about that, because my whole thing is, you've seen one car chase, you pretty much seen them all. But this franchise has been so successful, man. Is it worth me going back and starting from, the first one, and then, when I get to number 8, going to see it in the movie theater? This new Fate of the Furious. Let me know. Give me your thoughts on that, man. But this weekend it was all about basketball as the Cleveland Cavaliers handled their business, and they sweep the Indiana Pacers. LeBron James, man, had a big three-pointer, go-ahead three-pointer with 1:08 playing and helping the defending champions hold on for a series-clinching 106-102 victory, beating the Indiana Pacers once again. LeBron finished with 33 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. You talk about a hellified stat line. That's a great game. Now Cleveland takes a 7-game winning streak into the conference semifinals against either Milwaukee or Toronto. That's right. Remember, they won 3 games in a row last year to beat the Golden State Warriors in the championship, and then they won these 4 games in a row. So 7 games in a row they've won in the playoffs. LeBron James' teams have eliminated the Pacers 4 times in 6 years and completed the first 4-game sweep in Indiana's NBA history. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that would happen before, because even when Reggie Miller and Rick Schmitz and all of those cats played for the Pacers back in the day, and I say back in the day, it was this probably 15 years ago or so, they weren't always, they were definitely not a team that you thought was going to win a championship, because they played in the Michael Jordan era. So it just seems like that wouldn't have been the case, that they would have been swept before, but this is the first time. Cleveland finished the season 7-win against the Pacers, winning the last 4 with the defensive stand. A rare 25-point game for 3 players, the largest second-half comeback in playoff history. And now LeBron James gets it done. Lance Stevenson led the Pacers with 22 points. George had a series-low 15, so kind of held in check for Paul George. The Pacers have lost 5 straight postseason games in 6 of their last 8. Yeah. Indiana lost 4 games by a total of 16 points. That's we're going to touch upon that a little bit more in a second. But these 4 games that Indiana lost, they only lost them by a combined 16 points. All right, tying the smallest margin in a 4-game sweep in league history. Jeff Teague scored 15 points, and was the big man for the spurt that they had, including blocking one of LeBron James' shots. Miles Turner had 20 points and 9 boards, while Thaddeus Young had 13 points and 10 rebounds. So the Cleveland Cavaliers move on to the next round of the playoffs. They're going to take on either the Toronto Raptors or the Milwaukee Bucks. Speaking of which, that series is now tied 2 games apiece. Looks like that one's going to come down to the very end. But I'm going to tell you something. Back to the whole LeBron James and beating the Indiana Pacers in these 4 games. They sweep them, but by a combined 16 points. The Cavaliers, something ain't right. Something ain't right about this team defensively, man. Defensively, they are in a whale of trouble right now. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. They can't stop anybody, and this is something that's been an ongoing theme the last part of the season. So they don't look like the Cleveland Cavaliers of last year that won the championship. So we're going to definitely keep our eye on that. Let me grab a call. Caller, thanks for calling the Doug Stewart Show. What's your name? Where you calling from? What you want to talk about?
Doug Stewart, what it do? John Fisher in the building, baby.
John Fisher in the building. What's up, baby?
What's going on, man? He was talking basketball. I think it was good. I had to call in, brother.
Yeah. Hey, so before we even get into it, if you're new to the Doug Stewart Show on the Stewart Media Entertainment Network, on the line is my man John Fisher. He hosts the Cooking with the Microwave show on the Stewart Media and Entertainment Network, and he filled in for me this past Friday. I mentioned it earlier, man, but great job. I really do appreciate it, brother. Thank you a lot for filling in on me or for me on Friday.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. You know, I tried my best not to get fired. I think I did a good job in that. So, you know, I'm just glad you gave me the opportunity to be on a brand new stage, man. You know, I hope I gave the fans and all the Stewies a good show.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What you got on these NBA playoffs?
Hey, speaking of Indiana, it's crazy. Like you said, they lost all of those games by a combined 16 points. I felt like they were in position to win game one. I mean, that was, you know, they lost. Game two, they didn't really have a shot. I mean, well, game two was pretty much controlled by Cleveland. Games 3 and 4, they pretty much flat out blew.
Right.
Poor defensive strategies down the stretch. Poor decisions by Lance Stevenson. It was one play. LeBron did foul him, and they didn't call the foul. LeBron stole the ball, and instead he already had 4 fouls and just immediately fouls LeBron for no reason. And, you know, it's pretty crazy when I look at Indiana. But, I mean, they weren't going to beat the Cavs anyway. But they didn't have a chance to make it interesting, kind of like how I see out there in Utah. I picked Utah to beat the Clippers. Gobert went down. I said I don't think they can beat him without him. Now he's back, and they win the game when he's back. So it's going to be a very exciting playoff series. I mean, all across the board outside of, you know, the Clevelands and the Golden States. They're going to blow through the first couple of rounds. I like Russell Westbrook sticking up for his teammates yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And you're exactly right, man. The thing about that Cleveland series with Indiana is almost like they're pretty evenly matched personnel-wise, obviously, with only winning those 4 games by a combined 16 points. But the X factor was LeBron James. I mean, it just seems like he willed his team to victories in some of those crucial situations in those games. That was the difference, LeBron.
Well, I understand LeBron is the difference, but at the same time, that was a team that has three All-Stars.
Yeah.
Or at some point in their career, they had 3 All-Stars. You know, Kevin Love, I don't know if he was All-Star this year. But still in all, you know, 3 All-Stars versus Paul George, you know, the only Pacer who probably ever been to an All-Star game. So, you know, you take Paul George out of the equation, and Cleveland really should have been blowing them dudes out of the water. Yeah,
but they weren't. They weren't,
so
right.
They're right now, I think they're rooting for Chicago, because if Chicago beats Boston, now they become the new number 1 seed in the East, and they play Chicago. I don't think they want to see Washington, and I don't think they want to see Milwaukee. Not that they won't beat Milwaukee, but I think Milwaukee would definitely put some tread on those tires. Yeah,
good stuff, man. Hey, John Fisher, appreciate the call, bro.
No doubt, man. Be easy.
There he is, John Fisher, cooking with the microwave. Yeah. Shouldn't have even been that close. That's the point about it, is this whole theme of Cleveland and defensively not being the team that they had been in LeBron's first 2 years back in Ohio. That's the theme. The theme is that, you know, a team like the Pacers with a bunch of average to below average, and when I say average, I'm talking about Paul George, and Paul George is probably way above average, but outside of him, Thaddeus Young and Jeff Teague, and I like Miles Turner, young guy, young center in the NBA. He's going to be good. I mean, the more time that he gets, he's going to be good. But it's crazy, Lance Stevenson, that they just picked up off the street, a.k.a. Born Ready, was the big scorer for Indiana in this game 4. And this guy was basically, you know, unemployed. But the fans love him there. You know, this is his second stint there in Indiana. And we talk about playing with a lot of heart and of emotion, so they get a lot out of him. but just personnel-wise, it wasn't going to be enough. But the thing that's very alarming, if you're like me and you want to see the Golden State Warriors go down, because it is going to be Golden State, the thing that's very alarming is the fact that defensively, Cleveland just doesn't look like they're on the same page. Thanks for calling the Doug Stewart Show. What's your name? Where you calling from? What you want to talk about?